member Richard Bloom to come up to present an award. Richard is a longtime environmental champion and currently champions this district in Sacramento, but is a longtime supporter of Santa Monica AltCar and a former mayor.
Thank you, Terry. How's everybody doing this afternoon? It's good to be here at the 15th AltCar. 11th? Thank you. That's 15th. It's almost in the teens. It is a great pleasure for me to present an imaginary award, because I don't think we actually have, do we have the award? To a person who's not here, so it's actually kind of perfect. I am, there it is. Okay. The person's still not here, but the award is. Let's see this thing. Sustainable packaging. Recycled something. There we go. So this is the Alternative Energy and Transportation Expo recognition for Senator Fran Pavley on her visionary leadership and tireless commitment to saving the planet. And there are few elected officials who embody that quality, those qualities, better than Fran Pavley. We all know her way back when, in the olden times, in 2002, the Clean Air Act of 2002, AB 1493, that was her initial piece of climate legislation. So Fran's been at this a long time. And she's not here, so I can talk smack about her. She got to be a senator. I'm not a senator, I have to be a lowly assembly member. What's that all about? She was a middle school teacher for 28 years, which she always talks about. That made her really proficient at being able to deal with the legislators, like we're a bunch of children. I mean, who's she talking about? Me. She was elected first mayor of the city of Agoura Hills and served 4 times on the city council. That was back in 1982. I served as a mayor, but I was like the 47th mayor or something like that of Santa Monica. So pretty cool to be the first mayor. But the reason she was the first mayor is that she was the person who brought people together around her kitchen table to talk about the important issues, and they were largely environmental issues that were going on in what was then County of Los Angeles that became Agoura Hills. And we've seen that city grow in a very responsible manner over the ensuing years since cityhood, largely due to the groundwork that she laid. In 2000, she was elected to the California State Assembly. She served 3 terms there. I've only served 2 terms. She keeps outdoing me here. She was elected to the state senate in 2008, where she is representing the 27th district. Now here's a little interesting factoid. I represent Fran, but Fran does not represent me. That's how I can get away with saying all this stuff. But Fran's not here, and the wonderful, the incredible, the very, very young Jake Levine is here to receive this award on behalf of Fran. Fran has not stopped working on behalf of the climate and on climate change. I was in Paris with her at the end of the year. She was an active participant, and everywhere we would go together, people would point her out and go, "That's Fran Pavley." And, you know, they'd say, "Oh, and it's nice to meet you too, sir." That's just what follows me around. So I'm very, very pleased and proud to present this award to Fran Pavley via Jake Levine here. And have you prepared some remarks?
Very, very.
All right. Well, you know, make sure you keep them brief. And always tell a couple of jokes.
Okay. Thank you, Senator. Hi, everybody. My name is Fran Pavley.
You're starting off well.
Told me to start with some jokes. So, who here drove some kind of alternative vehicle today? Keep your hand up if you drove an electric vehicle.
Does a hybrid still count?
That counts. That counts.
All right.
Keep your hand up if you drove a fuel cell vehicle. Oh, there's a couple of us left. That's pretty amazing though, because I think only a matter of years ago, none of us would have been driving any of those vehicles. So, I just wanted to say a couple of words which I think Fran would have said. I promised her that I would try to do my best impersonation of her, but I will keep it brief, as she also, I think, would have appreciated.
First, you'll have to graduate high school.
Can we get someone with a heckler in front here? I'm still a constituent of yours. Actually,
Yes, sir.
Sharon mentioned in her keynote speech, in her amazing presentation, she mentioned some of the milestones that we have reached, both as a city and as a country on this issue that we all care so deeply about. And I think it's worth pointing out some of the work that we've all done together here in California, and in particular in Southern California, with Assemblymember Bloom's leadership, with Fran Pavley's leadership, to really set the tone in a way that the rest of the country has tended to follow rather than to precede. We didn't get to that 50% by 2025 target, which I think Sharon referenced from a 1990 EPA recommendation. But we did last week witness Governor Brown signing into law a new target in a bill called SB 32, which Fran Pavley authored, which requires the state to reach a 40% below 1990 level emissions reduction target by the year 2030. So, not quite 2050 by 2025, but almost there, and with California leading the way. And I think as we talk about cars today, and we look at all of these unbelievable vehicles outside, which represent a kind of innovation and entrepreneurship that comes really from California, it's important to recognize this leadership from California and from Fran Pavley. Another bill which Fran authored in 2002 is called AB 1493. And that bill provided the first ever greenhouse gas emissions targets for tailpipes. And that bill was particularly significant because under the Federal Clean Air Act, California has an exemption. In other words, when the Federal Clean Air Act was signed into law in 1970, California had already gone above and beyond the federal act and had implemented its own air standards, its own regulations. And so the federal government said, you know what, California, we're going to sign this law, but we're going to allow you to continue pushing the envelope. And if you want to have an exemption to go above and beyond again and again, apply to the EPA for a waiver and we'll let you do that. So after AB 1493 was signed into law, California, through the Air Resources Board, applied for a waiver and received one from the EPA, which allowed California to have a different standard for its vehicle emissions than the rest of the country. And this is meaningful because if you're a car company, that's a huge pain in the ass. You don't want to have to sell one car to California, to the millions of drivers in California, and another kind of car to the rest of the country. Not to mention the 14 other states which joined California in its greenhouse gas emission standards for cars. So what this ended up doing was it ended up forcing a discussion between the automakers, the federal EPA, and the state of California to come to an agreement on a national standard. And in 2009, President Obama promulgated the first national standard, which was based on California's rules, which were based on Fran Pavley's law, AB 1493, in the year 2002. Fran and I just returned from Mexico City yesterday, and we learned while we were in Mexico City that the President of Mexico, the President, or I suppose the Prime Minister of Canada, and President Obama in July signed a memorandum of understanding which would require all three of those North American countries to reach those greenhouse gas emission standards for their cars and trucks. So think about that. An assembly law, AB 1493, which started in California in the year 2002, has now given birth to a North American agreement to reach a uniform greenhouse gas emission and fuel economy standard for cars and trucks. That's a big deal. That is a really big deal, and it started here. And I think the thing that's so cool and so gratifying for those of us who are here today to look at these cars outside, is that those cars, that technology, that is all the result of this kind of policy making, of this kind of innovation in policy. Because if you talk to the automakers in 2002, they would have said, no, we're good, fuel economy standards are fine, people are, gas is cheap, we're gonna get to 20 miles a gallon, and we're providing what consumers want. But in reality, what consumers want is they want to save money, they want to go to the gas station less, they want to have a car that's not contributing to global warming. And that's now what the automakers are providing under these sorts of rules and regulations. So by the year 2020, I'm going to get this wrong, I think. By the year 2025, I believe, the National Fuel Economy Standard, which will also be the National Fuel Economy Standard in Mexico and in Canada, will be 54.4 miles to gallon. And that's because automakers across their fleets are including these kinds of hybrids, they're including electric vehicles, they're including hydrogen fuel cell vehicles. So it's a big deal, and it's taking a bite out of the biggest chunk of our climate pollution, which is transportation. The transportation sector contributes to about 40% of the country's overall greenhouse gas emissions. So anyway, thank you on behalf of Senator Fran Papley. It's a real honor for me to be here, a constituent of Assemblymember Bloom, and an employee in Fran Papley's office to have a chance to accept this award on her behalf, and I really appreciate everybody's work here, and let's keep going. Thanks.
Thank you to the Richard and Fran and Jake show for providing your afternoon entertainment. I want to note that this evening there is a reception after this conference at Expert Dojo, which is just up the street here at Santa Monica Place Mall at the top. And we have some flyers down here. I want to make sure everybody can make it over at 5 o'clock. Next up, Rick Sykes is back and would like to present our next award.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to present an award to Supervisor Mike Antonovich. Mike is, like me, a longtime resident, almost as long, born and raised in LA. Native, he's been a longtime supervisor in the County of Los Angeles, and he served 2 million residents of Los Angeles as the 5th supervisor of district since 1980. We're presenting this award to him today because of his commitment to stay on the cutting edge of alternative technology fuels and interest in new developments in this field. His support in bringing thousands of professionals and public to AltCar so that they may take the next steps towards making shifts in their transportation and energy use. His genuine commitment to improve conditions regarding transportation, air quality, and the use of public transportation, and having a superb staff that is responsive to these issues. So with that, I'd like to welcome Mike. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here once again each year. We've done an incredible job at the MTA, where we have retrofitted all of the dirty diesel belching buses with CNG. We have brought BYD, the electric bus manufacturer, to the Antelope Valley, Lancaster. They are getting about 150 miles, 170 per charge. They even had one bus go over 200 miles per charge. The Antelope Valley Transit Authority is now going to be all electric. So we're moving forward in those areas as well. At the Air Quality Management District, we're able to replace those diesel operating trucks with CNG. So again, to be non-polluting, and when you're behind those, you don't get asphyxiated by the diesel fumes. So we made good progress, but I also want to thank my staff who helps make a lot of the work, hard work, possible. And again, thank you for this award.